Hello, my name's Philippa Waller.
My name is Penelope Waller, and we are two of the directors at 4D Human Being.
And welcome to the 4D Human Being podcast. What's it all about, Pen?
It's all about your personal and professional relationships. It's about your communication skills, how you lead, how you work and build teams, how you are looking after yourself and your well-being, and how you are much more at choice. What do we mean by that?
Well, sometimes we can get a little caught in patterns in life and we can all be a little bit on our automatic pilot. So 4D Human Being is all about helping us get back to choice and being a four-dimensional human being. And your fourth dimension, of course,
is intention. So whether it's about your impact, your leadership style, your team dynamics, whether it's about your well-being, whether it's about your communication or your presentation skills, anything that involves human beings interacting with other human beings, 4D Human Being are here to help.
We're going to take a deep dive and look at some tools, insights, theories that are going to help you go from a 3D human doing to a 4D human being so that you can happen to the world rather than the world simply happening to you.
Oh, I can take my phone out of here then, because that's not happening. It's not clear, is it, Philly?
Do you know? Well,
don't you dare do a super segue.
I am going to do a super segue because welcome to, it's Tuesday afternoon. Everyone always talks in dates now on podcasts because everything is moving so quickly.
Do you know, I did wonder if it's the death of the current affairs podcast because you literally can't keep up. It's out of date within 12 hours.
Yeah, exactly. The super segue is...
Crikey, Riley.
It's a little bit like the amount of tech, even to do something basic like record a podcast, the knowledge you have to have around apps and microphones and tech now, and also co-running it so that we need to film it, etc., is very much like the topic that we want to talk about today, which is it doesn't matter all the skills you learned as an amazing human being and leader and team member. We are in the age of communication.
Oh, and we definitely are.
Oh, we are. And what we want to talk about today is if there is one thing other than the pace of story and communication, if there is one thing we are learning from the media and the output and the kind of, I think I wrote something recently, who needs Netflix when you've got the news? But if there's one thing we're learning, it's that the good communicators take all the politics out, take all the good communicators. This is the age. So
I will give you that super segue. The only thing I would say is, as we said before, is the super communicators have got better tech support than we have. There is no doubt about that. It's not possible. It's not possible that people are having to deal with a billion apps.
Well, the only thing I would say on that is because we pride ourselves on being a very agile organisation, the chances of us locking down tech support in a concrete time to go into a podcast studio, like we're moving,
it's spontaneous,
quickly.
It's improvising. It's what we do. I do think we've done pretty well, I have to say. Given
how much has changed in the last 5 or 10 years.
Well, yes, given that we are Gen X, so we're not, what do you call it, native
I can't say speak for yourself because we're clearly genetic identicals and born on the same day.
So not only are we not native digital people, whatever that means, but, you also have to manage everything else you've got going on in the day or physiologically when you're trying
You are not wrong. You are not wrong. It's not just problems with the computer, is it? It's the human computer. I know, exactly.
It's crashing.
Human computer's crashing. You know what I was thinking, though? I was thinking back to the days of writing letters and waking up in the morning with no gadget to grab. And
hoping the postie came.
Yeah, hoping the postwoman or postman came. Postman back in those days. And actually taking a moment to appreciate that we remember how to be a human being without a gadget to grab.
Do you know, I'm getting back to those days, Phil, and I'll tell you why. Because I have got repetitive strain injury in my right hand because the phone, the size of my phone, I think it's an iPhone, I'm going to say X. I don't even know what that is. I think it was built for a man's hand. It's quite large. Yes, and so when I wake up in the morning and I reach for it and I scroll, and I've got the dog usually asking for attention with the other hand, so it's one-handed. I've now got repetitive strain injury, so I am having to go non-digital in the mornings now, Phil. It shouldn't have come to that.
I bet you're not alone. And in fact, I'm going to wager that thumbs, necks and lower backs are going to be the big problem. Because sitting and scrolling, it's the new smoking, isn't it? So, you heard it here first.
Well, maybe I got lucky that it started with my right wrist, so I can nip it in the bud.
Yeah, nip it in the bud before it spreads down your spine. Yeah. Wait, we're providing a public service here. Should we try and segue from that? Exactly. The only thing I've got is the alliteration: spine, speechcraft, and story. No, I feel really passionate about this, and I genuinely. So we're going to do a lot more pods and comms on what's happening right now, because if you can't beat them, join them. We might as well join the roller coaster that is communication in these days. But seriously, though. What felt important, and what I do feel very strongly about, and have done for such a long time, is yes, you need to be a great communicator and grab attention. Because if you've got a message or a vision, or you want to motivate people, or you've got a great product, or whatever it might be, in this day and age, if you cannot communicate it, it's
lost in the ether.
It's lost in these, the days of the great invention in the panelled Victorian study. They're gone. Yeah. It's over. They are gone. And I would add to that, though, that we all need to not only be great communicators, we need to do each other the service of not flooding the zone with waffle and nonsense. We need to be good at.
Do you think we're in that zone, Phil?
Our audience can only speak for themselves.
Well, I have to say we do get good feedback about our podcast.
Thank you to everybody. We've had
a few people actually. I will give shout outs to
an inordinate number of messages this week.
Stateside, where we found ourselves a couple of weeks ago, lovely Andrew Brooks at Google, big shout out to you, and Rebecca Dicker at UP3, big shout out to you. Just two of the many people. Yeah. We've got international audiences, Phil. I've had people from Italy write to me. I'm telling you, we're going global.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the messages about how much you are enjoying the podcast, and also topics that you'd like us to cover. So there will be some pieces on networking coming up.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Networking and your personal profile online and in real person. And you'll be glad to know there's a 4D on-demand digital program just about to be launched.
We have also had the feedback, Phil, and maybe this was specific to a few people, but we have had the feedback that people really like the general waffle that we do. So I don't think we should be encouraging that. I think just be careful what you wish for as you write in, everyone. If you like the waffle, there'll only be more waffles. Although, you know what, I could eat a waffle right now. Waffle. It's that afternoon dip. Oh, Phil, I know. Carbs. I'm ready.
Another thing about the Gen Xers. Anyway, so what I was saying was, yes, we need to be great communicators, and we really please, whether it's in-person presentation or it's a video, be really mindful of cutting to the chase, because we are flooded.
We're not practicing what we preach.
We're not practicing what we're preaching. We are flooded with information.
It's true.
And get good. So the two things that we want to talk about today are speechcraft and story. And speechcraft includes the what and the how. So what are you saying and how are you saying it? And that is our
big one.
That's our big 4D bullseye right there.
Totally is.
How are you crafting a message, and how are you communicating it physically, emotionally, intellectually and intentionally? And then story.
I was going to go big 4D bread and butter, but you went 4D bullseye, which is better.
We've had waffles. I don't think we can have more bread and butter.
That's why we pay you the big bucks, Phil.
It's carb overload, otherwise pen. And the second thing is story. So speechcraft and story. And if you hear the words, are you a great storyteller? And you sort of go into some sort of, fit of I'm not a Hollywood scriptwriter. Story doesn't mean that. Story means an anecdote or a moment or a real world sort of analogy. It could be, it's a bit like, when you've, walked to the cafe and they've run out of coffee. I don't know. It doesn't matter what it is. It's something human. Just think real world, because that is what makes your message really sticky. The danger, particularly with AI, we've all got to find that balance, whole other conversation. But the danger is that we get lost in business speak and jargon. And that is not the path to go down with AI. Get AI to do some of your structuring or, whatever it is that you think it's going to give you. Do not rely on it for personal anecdotes.
Phil, I couldn't agree more. Do you know, there's two things I'm going to say on that from recent experiences in the last 24 hours with coaching clients.
Crikey, she is right up to date.
I'm telling you, it's current affairs pen here. So the first one is...
This is like 4D TV.
It's 4D TV. So the first one is a client got ChatGPT to write a draft LinkedIn profile, and it was fine, but it was very in the nuts and bolts and the concrete and the nitty gritty. There was absolutely no
sort of job titles and
skill set which we then pushed up much more emotionally. So it was fine as a starting point. The second one I really want to bring up is another coaching client who's watched our full 4D on demand digital series, Phil.
And she didn't go out this weekend.
She loved it and has brought in a really beautiful analogy about being up in the mountains skiing, using that as a perspective that we need to pull back, and it's not something that necessarily it's really difficult to do, particularly for senior leaders who are well versed in publicly communicating. It's just that they don't tend to do it in sort of day-to-day practice. Exactly as you said, we just get lost in, we have so much information and detail to share. That's where it goes, and it's so much more powerful to tell a story.
So much more powerful, and you can do it really, really easily. You can think about it exactly as you said, Pen. Think about it as emotion, or I like to think about the heart doing the speaking. And it's really simple, like the difference between, so the team gathered together and finalised the project. Fine, that's the facts. The team gathered together. We were absolutely shimmering with anticipation. We'd made it. We finalised the project together. Now, it's adding the human experience in that is going to really make the difference, because now your audience can reach in and imagine what it might feel like to have been in that room with you.
Exactly.
It's all you need to do.
It's always wonderful imagining what it's like being in a room with you, Phil.
Well, I'm not, Oh, don't take me down that path. Good days and bad. So... speechcraft. So that is your content. So we have great tools around that, of course, around 3 things. We've got an amazing ABCDE structure. You might have some of your own, those of you listening.
Oh, the 3 E's I'm using a lot now.
The 3 E's.
People are loving the 3 E's.
It's good, isn't it? The 3 E's.
I tell you what's really good about some of the structures.
I think we should say what that stands for.
So lots of the structures that we use, such as 3 things, the what, how, why, the ABCD, we've got loads and loads of really great structures. They can be used for different things, and very often they're to craft slightly longer messages, maybe bigger presentations. The thing about the 3 E's that we really love is leaders are being called on now to communicate with their teams, not just agendas, facts, updates, all of those kind of things, but they are being really called on to communicate the culture that's happening and the culture that they want. And sometimes that's really hard to do. And the 3 E's is brilliant because it is emotion, experience, expectation. And
bang, bang, bang.
Quick, 60 seconds. This is what I'm sensing. This is how we're feeling, or this is how I'm feeling. This is the experience that we've had over the past month, or this is what I've noticed, this is what I've seen, this is what we've achieved.
Or this is what the leadership offsite talked about.
And then expectation, and what I'd love to see from you, or what I'm going to be doing over the next month, whatever it is. So there's an action piece at the end. And it sounds really, really simple, but it can be quite difficult for us to talk about those sort of softer behavioural and cultural pieces. So we particularly like the 3 E's to talk about that. And I was just coaching a group of very senior leaders with that this morning, and they loved it.
Exactly. So you've just come from an SLT, you've had an offsite, you see your team. I am so energised and so excited to be telling you what we talked about. Here are the 3 main points that we talked about. 1, 2, 3. What I'd love from you is one thing in each of those key areas that you can dial up within your own team. Done.
Brilliant. Job done.
See you later. Pop the kettle on. I'll have a waffle. So There's loads of ways of what, why, how. I mean, there's endless ways to structure, but just nice and clean, clean, and you can always mix all these up. So you're writing a post about doing a charity walk. You could start with the what. I'm walking up a mountain for charity. Great. You could start with the why. I really care about British Heart Disease Foundation. Great. Or you could start with the who. Me and my dad. Here we are at the top of a mountain. And
or you can start with how. I'm absolutely knackered at the top of a mountain.
I'm absolutely exhausted. How? Only just. Exactly. Skin of my teeth. Exactly. My feet hurt. Quick word from us at 4D Human Being. If you're enjoying the show, please do click follow so that you can have the 4D Human Being podcast instantly in your feed. And we'd love it if you liked and reviewed us. Let us know what you think. Please do think of one or two people that you could share the 4D Human Being podcast with. Somebody who would really benefit from the content you're listening to right now. Back to the show. So, but you can really play with it. It doesn't have to be the boring bit. And I speak as someone who likes the likes
you
the feel
love the banter of words. And I think your favourite thing, Phil, is an alliteration. I mean, it's just
can't get enough.
I know. But it's so much more impactful. I guess what I would say to that, I mean, aside from alliteration, which I have to say, sometimes you and I spend
it's like an illness.
hours trying to think of an alliteration. So I'm going to park alliteration for a little moment. But for all the other structures that we give, they are so quick to apply. And it's just that we don't, as communicators, we don't often think up front, what structure am I using? It will make your life so much quicker and the message so much more impactful.
Quicker. Exactly. I love it. I'm already
you're alliterating it, aren't you?
I'm trying to alliterate. It's like it is an illness. Okay, so on Speechcraft, that is your content. Now, the second part of it is how. How are you communicating? Now, one of the things that even before I start working with somebody on an intake session, I cannot not give them the advice on how they're framing themselves on camera.
No, I know.
So I can't kind of think, well,
I'll wait till we do the
actually
virtual
start
session,
working together. No, I've got to tell you. Within 5 minutes of meeting someone, if they're going to work with me, not if they're a client asking for a brief on a program, I would say, right, I'm just going to do one thing now, and I'll show them how they're sitting. So I
do that. I move my PC as well. So I
move your camera.
So this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, this is what I'm seeing.
How's that working? How's that working out?
Exactly. And then get them to move their camera, and then to get their arms off and take more space. And it's like somebody just came in with magic fairy dust and sprinkled it over you and turned you into an impactful communicator.
It's such a brilliant example, a demonstration, if you like, of the old animal brain, the old reptilian brain, and how that absolute physical framing is suddenly changing how you're seeing somebody in a nanosecond. I know, and I don't think often people really believe it that it actually matters that much, and yet it does. The other thing that this is slightly aside, slight tangent, Phil, is that when I'm doing a client briefing, and it's not a coaching session or not a coaching session yet, if they come onto the call and sort of fumbling with the camera and say, sorry, I can't help it. I have to say, right, we're just going to start
immediately coach. Yeah, immediately coach. But it's good, isn't it? Just, well, because we care about it, and this is exactly why I wanted to talk about this topic, because the number of world leaders that we are seeing communicating, and as we know, sometimes that's amazing and sometimes
it's really
that is hitting the news for different reasons. But it's what is so amazing for all of us is it's like we've just been given. It's like David Attenborough suddenly finding that the jungle's come to him. It's like if you're a leadership anthropologist and a communications passionate about communication, the jungle's just come to you because you've got. Just everywhere is a smorgasbord of leaders communicating where you can just literally switch on any device and look at any number of global leaders communicating and go, what is working about that?
Totally.
Person? Why didn't that interaction work? When they walked up the steps to the presidential house, why did that look off?
Yeah.
Who looks in charge there? Who's got the status? Why do they look like they're getting on together and they don't?
And the thing about this is it is absolutely a smorgasbord out there, and once you kind of switch it on, you can't unsee it, which is the slightly challenging thing. You know, when you work with us and when you do this kind of communication anthropology, you see people in a totally different way, and it's fascinating and it's insightful.
It's fascinating,
but it's also quite difficult then to turn back the clock and just watch a presentation without looking at what people are doing. But it's so fascinating.
It's so fascinating, and it's the gift that keeps on giving, because you'll just learn and learn and learn.
One of my favourite things is when I'm watching parliamentary debates and questions. I mean, I don't do it very often, to be fair. They're not the most riveting of content usually, but I do find myself screaming at the television. I'm just like,
put the notes
Why
down.
are you doing it like this?
Yeah, why are you doing it? Open your mouth. So again, on Speechcraft, we've got the what and then the how. And we talked about this before in our Thailand video. It's all very well having great content. You have got to balance it, if not outweigh it, with the how. Yeah. And you've got to think body, you've got to think voice, you've got to think presence, and you've got to think relationship with the audience. And if you've got all of those things, honestly, even if you go slightly off message or even if you fluff your words, you are going to get the eyeballs. Exactly. So start watching, whether it's the news, it could be news presenters, it could be people they're interviewing, world leaders. Check out the shoulders. Check out how open they are with their gesture. Who walks in the door first? Who's leading who first? What are those handshakes like? What are those facial gestures like? Like, it's telling you everything about how you feel about them. Yeah. And you can learn so much.
What I would also say about this, Phil, is that obviously this is important, apart from the fact that it's our work, but obviously this is important in order for your message to land and cut through. You know, there's a lot of noise out there. But the other thing I would say about the work that we do is the people that are showing up and communicating really well are the people that you want to spend time with. So it's not only about landing your message, it's really about your magnetism as a human being and as a leader. Those are the people that you're interested in. And when you see great speakers, be they politicians or whatever they might be, even if their topic is not necessarily something that you agree with, I will tune in again and again and again when people are dynamic and interesting as speakers. So why wouldn't you want to be like that? When people are going to be more interested in you?
I will add a caveat to that, though. Please use these superhero 4D skills for good, not evil, because they don't have a moral line, actually. If you're a good communicator, there is no moral line.
That's true. Fair point.
I want to add to that. I do want to add to that the other piece of one of the other pieces of work we do, of course, is around the ego. So the other piece that feels really important here is if you watch communicators, particularly in, polarized times, particularly when there's a lot of challenge or, there's a lot of people trying to get things done in the world in a different way. I say that in the loosest way, that people disagree, people get upset, people feel like they've been poked. You do the ego work. It doesn't matter what comes flying at you, what bullets come at you from an interviewer, the media, or from... You're free. You are free. You can watch those bullets fly by and you can still deliver the message you want to deliver. In fact, you can do more than that. You can charm and stroke and, just... With your own charm, you can do a kind of Neo from the Matrix, and you can still that bullet in midair and just watch it drop to the floor.
I know, it's joyous.
It's just so joyous, isn't it?
It is totally joyous, and it will make you a totally different communicator as well.
And also the experience for you of feeling like, not only do I not fear being attacked, but bring it on, because it'll make it interesting, because I know I can handle it. It's a different experience as a human being because you feel so much less fear.
Totally. And you're totally talking to one of the programs that we're running at the moment, and it is specifically targeted at the communication of feedback, but nevertheless it does apply to any kind of communication. And it's got those kind of 3 strands, which is the first thing you have to do is you have to look at yourself, your patterns, your egos, why you're frightened perhaps of communicating, or why you're defensive if you get difficult questions. So the self is first. The second one is the skillful structure of communication, which you've spoken about. And the third one, of course, is what do the audience need to hear. So really thinking about that sort of we or culture or team space. So in all of the communication that we do and all the programs that we do, you will always see those three elements coming through, and they're all hugely important. I particularly love the ego work on the self. I think it's such a game changer, but they're all really important as well.
Yeah. And the last bit I want to put onto that, and we've definitely talked about this before, I'm going to bang the drum again, which is voice, because people don't think about it very often. And I just want to challenge you, those of you listening, try and think of a world leader that you love listening to, male or female, who has a either very high voice or very weak voice, or they has a voice that it's very staccato.
Yeah. Or mumbly even, where you can't quite hear what they're saying.
Or mumbling. And I'm going to pretty much guarantee it's going to be tough for you to think of world leaders or leaders that, or communicators that you regularly tune into that has a voice that's in either of those categories. And again, particularly I want to talk to more like the female voice, not necessarily men or women, but female voice, the higher voice, is if you know you've got a higher voice, prioritize it. Absolutely prioritize it, because it will become a blocker for you, because we are in the age of communication, and you want to get that pitch down to at least a mid-range, if not lower.
The other thing I would say on voice, just because it's come up recently, and it was one of those magic moments in the room, magic. So a really good. You could almost have that like ready to play.
Yeah, exactly. When you feel like you've got. When it happens, I'm just going to pause you there for everyone in the group. Magic.
It really was. Okay. So already he was a great communicator. And I got him to do the old mouth muscle exercise where you're really, really exaggerating the movements of your mouth muscles. And he, felt a bit silly, to be fair, in front of his colleagues in this training room. The audience's jaws were on the floor. Mm-hmm. One thing completely changed the sound of his voice and the landing of his message. So it's so important. There's so many tips, tricks and tools we've got around the voice.
Did I ever tell you that story? I was teaching at the most famous drama school in the
world,
the RADA, and I was drawn in only once to a committee meeting.
Not your thing.
I didn't go again. I went freelance immediately after that. It was too slow, too long. But I've been working with these students, and I'd this one student, I've been watching her, and I've been thinking, what is it about her? There's something that's not connecting or releasing. And eventually I gave her that instruction. I said, I want you to open your mouth like it's some kind of crazy giant cave in your face that, and you're almost like doing some sort of party entertainer or something, like really ridiculous. And she did. About 2 weeks later, I'm in this committee meeting, as I say, only one, and this whole conversation starts up where it went from one person to the other, and they all say, "Oh, have you noticed about?" I can't remember her name. Let's call her Jilly. It's been transformational, and they go, I think she's really, I did this emotional depth work with her. I did this memory work with her. Well, I've been doing this Laban work with. We've been looking at Stanislavski, and they all went round. They all had their reasons why, and I just sat there and thought, I think she's just opening an apple. And I thought, and it's not that it wouldn't connect her with all those other things, of course.
Totally.
But actually, it's that thing, you can do all the emotional internal memory work you like, but if the door of the cave isn't open,
100% Phil,
no one's hearing it.
And there's two things I'm going to say to that. One is that is absolute testament to how much at 4D we like quick, practical tools to make big changes. Yeah. And the second thing I would say is
you are not wrong. Too impatient.
Well, the second thing I was saying, I'm not surprised you never went back to another committee meeting after that.
You can imagine. Can you imagine my state of mind?
I've never heard a sentence with you and committee in the same sentence ever in my life.
No, it's up there with clipboard for me, Pam. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
So you gave it a go. You gave it a go.
I gave it a go. The kind of meeting I like is the meeting that you're moving, so you're sort of walking. There's an agenda. I mean, I just had one with Larissa. She won't mind me saying, and she had a spreadsheet. It was useful information, but I said, Larissa, you've just cut to the bottom line. Just cut to that very last line, and let's make some decisions. And she was laughing. She said, I knew you'd say that. I said, I can't go through all those columns. We haven't got that kind of time. Move on. Let's get to solution. Oh dear, terrible.
I love
Anyway,
it.
so-
you like the meetings best that are virtual and everyone else is forcibly on mute.
Exactly. So don't. That makes me sound authoritarian.
No, I'm joking. I love having meetings with you, Phil. They are highly creative and usually quite speedy, which is all good.
We got to crack on, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, life's too short. So, actually, that's not always true, because there is time and space, particularly in coaching and counselling, that actually we really, really need space, because that is almost exactly what our emotional selves, our nervous system needs. It hasn't been given the space.
Totally.
So I can definitely go to the other side, and I love that as well. I love it.
All different parts.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's the flex and flow. It's the full range, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is, of course, super segue. What we want with communication is
Yes.
that you want to be able to go from, you know, high energy excitement to everyone.
Yeah.
This is a tough moment for us all. Let's take a moment.
And we have the tools to help you to do this. And it's not about being inauthentic. It's about flexing to what the audience needs. I couldn't agree more, Phil.
Exactly. It's about developing more authentic selves, to be honest, isn't it?
And, and you know, good politicians are really good at it. And it's not that it's not, well, maybe sometimes it's not genuine, but often when I see politicians speaking, it feels genuine. Yeah. It's just they're very wise to what's
some
needed.
Of them. So, some of them are, exactly. So start noticing speakers, leaders. I mean, notice, you know, over here in the UK, Keir Starmer, much more often now with his sleeves rolled up, suits him, works, I'm in, we're doing. That is communicating something. Like, all of it is communicating something. What you're wearing, your body language, the activity that you're choosing to do, you know, whether it's Boris on a zip wire all those years ago, or more recently Ed Davis on a zip wire. But, you know, they are choices, they're choices, and they're communicating that, you know, the background that you choose. So start to notice what is working about the speakers out there, particularly at the moment. I mean, like we said, you have got anytime, anywhere, you can watch global leaders speaking. What's working? Where are they speaking from? What's that saying about them? How do you feel about them? Will you make a point of listening to them again? Would you follow them?
Do you believe them?
Would you go with them? Yeah, exactly. Or if you don't agree with them, and this is really important at the moment in this very sort of polarised world, it's really useful to understand communicators that you don't agree with the content, but you can understand why people are compelled to watch them and follow them because of how they communicate.
Totally.
It's useful.
There is no avoiding, you know, regardless of what unfolds in the future in terms of technology and communication and social media and decisions that cultures make around this, regardless of any of that, we are currently in the age of communication, and there is no getting away from it. It's where we are now. You can choose to fully opt out of it if you want to, if you have that luxury. If you are in the world in terms of the community, the society, the workplace, you are in it. Yeah, you are in it, and communication is so hugely important.
And it's a choice. And I think, you know, the last thing to say on that is the work that we do at 4D, and it's so important to me because I don't want to wake up and dread doing something. The work that we do at 4D is about using the tools to find a way that works for you, so that your life feels better, that you are, you know, genuine, you're in your integrity, you're connected, you're communicating from a place of your truth, of your, you know, authenticity. That's actually it's going to tire you out a lot less than sort of trying to pretend or sort of be something that you're not. But you can be impactful in so many different ways.
And by the way, I do have to say, Phil, you are being very impactful with what you're wearing today. I absolutely love your outfit today.
I've sort of gone monochrome.
Oh, it's so good.
I'll take that.
I'm going for a white shirt.
Going for a white shirt.
Love it.
On that note, we wish you well. We will be back very soon. We're hoping actually to grab our lovely co-director Matt on a 3-way podcast. I know, very special episode. Yeah. So we'll see you for that. In the meantime, check out the 4D Human Being website. Obviously, 4D On Demand. And that is not far off a revamp. Watch this space. And a click to buy. So we're very excited at what's coming this year and spreading and cascading the wonderful work of 4D. Take very good care.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the 4D Human Being podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Do take on board some of the insights, tools and tips, because every time that you try something new to get back to choice, you are making a vote for the you that you want to become. And I love that phrase, Pen.
I do too. And please do share this episode with somebody that you know would really benefit from the lessons and learnings we've been chatting about today.
And of course, if you're interested in more from 4D Human Being, do get in touch. We run workshops, trainings, online, in-person, conference events and keynotes. We've got the 4D On-Demand platform for your whole organisation. And we do have a free Essentials membership where anybody can sign up for absolutely free to access some of our insights, tools and tips. So do get in touch with us if you'd like to hear more. We cannot wait to hear from you and to carry on the conversation.